Hello builders, and welcome to another Stone Soul building video. And this one I have for you a double feature. It is our little platypus buddies and the little blue penguins from Australia and the islands of New Zealand. In short, we are building today an aquarium for these animals, so guests will be able to walk underneath and see them swimming, or come above and see them in their little sleeping areas, as you'll see is the end result. First things first though, we are building a small circular building because I always love doing circle buildings. It's a very simple thing to do once you figure out how. You make a little wall, copy it over, and then you copy that group over and over again as we're just doing it right now. And it just makes for a lovely little round building. You can even do it as a dome if you want to do a roof on it, which we're not doing in this case, but you could. Use your imagination. But these buildings usually require quite a few iterations as I play around with them and see how it all works. I ended up cutting out quite a few of that from this video, so you don't have to worry about watching me fiddle with that. But if you can't tell already, this is going to be the underwater viewing area, and I always love adding in a few rocks here and there in my builds just to make things look a little more natural, and a few decorations like these little platypuses swimming around, and we'll add some penguins later. Oh, right, never mind, not later, right now. Because we don't want the roof to be kind of boring, we're just going to add in a few structural supports like logs going around in a circle. Now I know what you're thinking, that kind of looks a little weird, but don't worry, it will all make sense once we get the roof on. And now there's also a few little walls that I'm not going to have anywhere for a guest to see the penguins or the platypuses, so we're just going to remove the glass and cover those up with the nice little decorations. Later on, I'll end up removing some of these walls and putting in paths that connect to the underwater viewing dome entrances, just so guests can go into the habitats and see the animals a little more up close underwater. And of course, it wouldn't be one of my videos without me mentioning once in a while that I do not like the pathing system in this game. Yes, it has a lot of strengths, but it could be so finicky sometimes and just refuse to connect. Frontier, I'm asking you very kindly, please just update the game so that the paths can just connect through anything. If it ends up looking weird, you know what? That's on us. Just let us do our thing. That's all I ask. And speaking of weird and us doing our thing, look at this roof going in. Okay, admittedly, it looks kind of weird. It's got a few little holes here and there, but the outside is just all blocky and sticking out. But I say, don't worry about that. I have a plan to fill that in. Spoiler alert, it's rocks. I'm going to throw rocks in there, and I love placing rocks and everything, and it's going to look good when it's done, because rocks are gorgeous. More rocks, more good, I always say. But now that the pathing and the walls are in, now we have to go in with the hard part and add in the glass. Having glass this close to pathing is always a little bit of a pain. Again, I wish Frontier would just let us clip these onto the pathing even just a little bit more. I would absolutely love it. Even if the pathing clips through the wall and the guests maybe end up clipping through the walls too, again, that is on us, the builders. I just wish they would let us do that as we wish. But alright, enough whinging about all that. I've made my peace. Let's move on with the building, and we will continue building this habitat with the tools we are given. And while I was working on getting the path set up to connect to this top area for guests to view, I decided to make it into a split path just to make it a little bit more symmetrical. Not perfectly symmetrical, but enough. One side was going to be a stairs, so people with able-bodied legs can walk up it. Another would be a ramp for people in wheelchairs. And yes, there's no wheelchairs in the game, but I always like to design as if this was a real zoo. And not a zoo designed by an absolute monster who doesn't like people in wheelchairs. Everyone wants to see cute little animals, no matter who you are, so I'm going to make it possible. And speaking of monsters who design zoos, maybe I could probably improve a little bit on my railings. Maybe not this railing, but some of the railings in the zoo maybe aren't up to safety code. But that's why we have everyone sign a waiver, letting them know that we are not going to save them if they fall in, and it is not up to us for their own safety. I'm sure my lawyers are going to get mad at me and want me to correct that and say something about how here at World Zoo we appreciate everyone's safety and we take highest standards and blah 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 blah. Legal jargon. I suppose they're going to be mad at me when they hear this recording, but you know what? They aren't in the office right now, so I can say whatever I want. Take that, lawyers. What are you going to do? Prevent me from getting sued? Oh, I see. I see the problem now. It's all clicked together. Maybe I should start paying attention to these meetings with the lawyers. Ooh, I'm going to have to make a note of that for next time. Someone remind me to pay attention. Anyways, where were we? Okay, building, yes. Now we're just going to add in a few little rocks here. make this looking like a proper little cave entrance, especially a little flat rock on the front so we can put a sign on there later. And of course it wouldn't be one of my builds without one of my waterfalls. I love waterfalls, and every time I do a habitat without them I just feel dirty and unclean. So what's the best way to feel clean? With more water. So let's get this waterfall in. And for this one we are doing a cascading waterfall with some rocks stacked, and on top of that we just take the top section of a waterfall and just place those over and over again, just to make it look like the water is falling down. It makes for a beautiful little effect, and feel free to try that on your own. Next up on the building docket is a little viewing area up top. This will be for guests to enter in and get a better view of the sleeping areas for the platypuses and the penguins. It will also serve as an entrance to the penguin habitat for guests and allow keepers to enter the habitats as well. A little building note, I do love these twilight wall pieces. They are amazing because you can color them with multiple different colored bricks, and they serve so many purposes. As you will be able to tell in these future Australian build videos, I do use them a lot because they blend in perfectly with that red rock with the rest of Australia. One thing I've been using a lot lately that I need to go back and fix up in some of my old builds is to use these bridge arches just to complement these arches that come with the wall pieces. It makes for a nice little addition of detail. Now, I did say earlier that I was going to add in these entrances for the underwater domes, so voila, there they are. I'm not a liar. I'm continuing with my promise to do things that I knew I did in the past. It is easy, isn't it, to do things and promise things in videos when you know how the video is going to turn out. The magic of video editing, I tell ya. And in your zoos, it never hurts to make things look a little more natural, so feel free to just detail rocks around the edges of paths, even inside buildings. It makes things look just that much more part of the wild. Now, with the basic skeletal structure of those buildings complete, let's come in and start working on the platypus habitat first. I'm just going to create a cute little alcove for the platypuses to crawl inside, where we'll put their den. And after that we'll expand outwards and start putting rocks and plants throughout their habitat. And in stereotypical stone fashion, I always love giving my animals huge habitats. Some might say this is overkill for two tiny little platypuses sitting in here, but you know what? I like animals, and I want to give them as much space as I possibly can, because in the wild, they have the whole wild to themselves, and in the zoo, we're going to give them as much as we can. As for this rock wall in the back, you'll see I'll be using a lot of red rocks, but I'm also using these tropical mossy ones, mostly because they live in a more warmer climate, and I want to have a nice blend between the Australian rocks that are going to go in the rest of the zone, and this tropical zone for the platypuses. And we'll be continuing that theme a little bit into the penguins as well. Because it's going to be hard enough to see the platypuses as is, I wanted to give the guests a few more areas to climb up and look down at the platypuses swimming in the water. And we will then decorate these pathways with some rocks just to blend them into the rest of nature. That, of course, is the main theme for the World Zoo project, is just incorporating nature into the zoo and making everyone feel like this zoo is, well, part of nature and you are walking through the wilds. It's about breaking the guest's immersion, and hopefully yours as well. And speaking of making it look more like nature, don't worry about all these rocks. We will be putting plants in soon. You gotta get that strong foundation in with rocks before you can green it up with some beautiful plants. It'll all be coming, don't worry. And you won't just have to watch it once, you gotta watch me do it 2 times. Like I said before, this is a double feature exhibit. And after this, we will be building the penguin habitat. So hold on to your butts. And look, another promise of the past being fulfilled. Look at that, we're filling up some of those blocky pieces of wood. Just to put a little trim of rock around it, just to make everything look that much more part of nature. And it's important to always remember to put in some toys and some feeders for your animals before you get too in depth on where you are putting everything. Sometimes I do forget to do that, and I end up doing it a little bit later in this case. And you know what, I might have changed the design if I had put them in earlier, but I already put all the rocks down, so I was just going to work around them. But that's my tip for the day. Try and get all of these placed before you get into the detail work. And now comes our first plant placement of the day. We're going to start with doing these little underwater bits, and then slowly transition upwards by doing some reeds along the shoreline and some trees. And after that, who knows what we'll do with our crazy cells. Maybe we'll put some flowers in, maybe put some grasses in, or some bushes. You just have to keep watching and find out. But generally, I have no idea what I'm going to put down until I start looking through the whole category of plants. And I just go, you know what, that would look good there. And I just start placing. And now with that habitat complete, let's come on over to our little blue penguins, who are going to get quite the nice little habitat, I'm sure you will agree. First things first though, let's finish off this building and add a few decorations in. And after that we'll work on roof, and then we'll finally get onto those penguins, I promise. For the roof section, we are just copying a similar style to what we had done in the food court section, and just putting these curved pieces in. I love these curved pieces as they allow you to do so much, and I fully intend to use them elsewhere in the zoo in the future. And this ugly green, I promise you, will be changed to a lovely brown to match the rest of the wall, although I don't do it in this video. Watching this video back, I realized I had forgotten to film myself making a few corrections to this structure, but you will see it in the final cinematic view at the end. And as a centerpiece to the Penguin Cove area, I just create this huge tree in the middle and cover it with a few rocks and plants, just for that added bit of nature. And as promised, we now finally come to working on the penguins. First, we're going to start by moving the train track over a little bit because I want to give them a little bit more room. I felt like I had made the exhibit a little too thin, especially if I want to add some water in and the path for the guests to walk through the habitat. Next up is going to be a little cave for our little penguins. Guests will have the benefit of seeing the penguins right up close, almost on eye level, which is something I liked to do for our little animals. Bigger animals, you don't need to worry about that so much, but little guys, I love to have them elevated in their little sleeping areas so guests can just, kneel down ever so slightly and get a nice close look. And I will avoid repeating myself like I did in the Platypus section, but we will be continuing with the same pattern. We'll be putting some mossy rocks down below, and up top will be the red rock, and then we'll continue on with the plants. So for the remainder of this video, I might be a little bit more quieter, as there isn't much to say in a double feature. You've heard it all already. So you know what, I'll just let you sit back and watch some of this building. And I'll chime in when I feel the need to. Now, if the penguins could clean up after themselves, I would have this just be 1 or 2 little doors, but of course I have to put a big door in because the keepers need to get in there and clean up after those messy little birds. And because I wanted to add a little bit extra flair to this habitat, I decided to make an underwater tunnel for the penguins to swim through that will lead to a little pool in the back of the habitat. And underneath there will be a dome for guests to enter in, as well as a feeder for the penguins, because we want to attract them into that hole. And with the creation of this ledge, I like to imagine the penguins walk off the top of it like a little diving board. Of course, they don't do it in-game, but we like to dream here at the World Zoo. And of course, I will add in a little feeder at the top of that just to attract penguins anyways, so guests leaning off the edge can have a nice view with a penguin staring up at them. Of course, when you're a penguin, you got tiny little feet. You're really good at swimming, but not so good at the walking. So I need to add in these tiny little stairs for those tiny little feet on those penguins, just so they can get up into their little home and do their sleeping. And in my last video we created this train station here, and I did mention in that video that there was going to be an area for guests waiting in line to look down at the penguins, and here it is. You know, just to make that long wait for the train a little bit more bearable, when you can stare at some cute little penguins down below just squawking at you. I'll save you from watching me place too many rocks in this video. The back end that is behind the track I will be doing off camera, and you can see how it all turned out in the final cinematic view coming up shortly. As for the front half of this, that is the part below the train track, it's a quick and easy copy paste. You build one segment of the wall and then you copy paste it over and over again, and it just makes things so much quicker. Just another bit of advice for you from this video. There, with all that rock work complete, we can now come in and start doing all that greenery. Similar to what we did with the platypus, we're going to start with the aquatic section, adding in all different bits of underwater grass and kelps and whatever this is. And from there we'll move up by adding reeds and trees along the shoreline. And after that, we'll be doing the rest of the habitat. And just like that, it'll be done and beautiful. A perfect little tropical paradise for the penguin buddies. And while I was in the middle of placing the plants, I quickly realized I had messed up and forgot to complete the sleeping cave. We come back, finish it off by adding in a couple sleeping spots and adding a roof to it. And just like that, bam, a cute little cave for our little penguins. And now we are nearing the end of the video. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And you know what? If you want to support me, why don't you come on over to my Twitch channel? Link down below if you want to click that. I don't know, maybe you come by. Maybe you like Planet Zoo. Maybe you like me. Maybe we become best friends. Who knows what's going to happen if you click that link. You won't know until you click it. And if you like clicking things, why don't you click that like button, that subscribe button. You know, do all the little things that people like doing on YouTube. I'm not going to stop you, but maybe you do it. Maybe something good's going to happen. Just saying. Equally, maybe something bad's going to happen. Oh no, maybe don't click it. Maybe don't click that link. Maybe I use a little bit of reverse psychology on you. How do you feel about that? Yeah? And while we're at it, why don't you leave a comment down below about your favorite kind of pizza? Why pizza? Because I'm hungry right now. That's why. I'm going to go with Hawaiian pizza because that's my favorite. And a lot of people hate it, but you know what? I love it. I'm not going to defend myself. It's the best. That's all. Okay, I'm done. No more weird rambling, no more asking for stuff. Let's just end this video with a beautiful cinematic of what we've built here today. And feel free again to come check me out on Twitch. And I will give you a proper little tour of the zoo if you want. Or you can check out my other videos. Wait a minute. Didn't I just say there was no more asking for stuff? Oh no, I just broke my own promise. I apologize. Alright, cut the video. Cut it here. Let's go. Have a good one, builders. Good day.